It's the family.
Next up, I'd like to invite Jonathan Martin to the stage. Jonathan.
Thank you, thank you.
I can't tell.
By the way, Dorothy, I think I brought you cold. It's going that way, I think. So, hi everyone, my name is Jonathan, and I'm one of the lucky ones who had the privilege to live with Tom and Vicki for several years in their home in Vallejo. Always had a lot of fun. It's pretty amazing to see the people here. It's obviously really obvious how many people she's touched over those short 66 years. As we all experienced tonight, or this afternoon, everyone has a funny story of how they met Vicki, along with some many crazy anecdotes, and I'm no different. Every time my wife Heidi and I would come up to visit Tom and Vicki, we knew we were always in for a good time, and we were never disappointed. As you all know, and we talked about, Vicki was a passionate person. She was passionate about her giants, of course, about her friends, her work, her dogs, her community, her family, dancing. She was passionate about it. A week after Vicki left us, Heidi and I came up to spend some time with Tom. I happened to go upstairs in her craft room. I'm sure a lot of you guys saw her great craft room. And amongst all the artsy decoration that she had, there's a sign that really just stuck with me. And that sign read, "A good friend will bail you out of jail, but a true friend will be sitting next to you saying, 'Damn, that was fun.'" That was Vicki, right? I mean, she was that friend, that mom, that wife, that Momo, that she would do anything for the people she loved. Heidi and I are so grateful to have had her in our life, and we'll cherish all the memories for the rest of our lives. Now, we were told that we had to share some funny stories, so that funny story. Okay. I'll tell you how Vicki and I met. 17 years ago, I was working as a bartender and server at a restaurant. One day, during lunch hour, this vivacious, loud, smiling, full of life redhead showed up, and she sat at my bar. She was on her lunch break with her co-workers, who I think I saw earlier today. Before I even had time to greet her, of course she greeted me. She was greeting me with that big, beautiful smile. And after serving food and drink to them, I'm not sure they were supposed to drink margaritas. They're great, but anyway. I just quickly realized that I was ignoring pretty much all of the other clients that were sitting at the bar. I mean, Vicki had that magnetic energy, and everyone was always drawn to her. And we had such a great time, just over, a half hour, 40 minutes lunchtime. Once she was done with her lunch and her margarita, I came out with a bunch of my co-workers with a sundae topped with whipped cream to sing happy birthday to Vicki. Of course, everyone in the bar, you guys have probably been to these restaurants and people start singing, and it's kind of a nice little party for the person whose birthday it is. So that everybody was joining in and singing and wishing her happy birthday, and she blew that candle that I had put on Sunday, and as soon as she did that, I shoved her face in the whipped cream, covering the entire face with whipped cream. Vicki thought it was amazing. She just thought it was so great. But I think what she thought was even more amazing is that it was not even her birthday. So that was Vicki. I mean, she just loved life. She loved acting silly with friends and family, everyone around her. And I found that out literally the minute I met her. Shortly thereafter, Vicki introduced me to Tom, and just like that, I was part of the Evans family. Vicki, since we met 17 years ago, she's been a second mom to me, a friend, and a great laughing partner. Vicki, you smiled, joked, and partied your way through life, and that stupid illness never even broke your spirit. I've admired your love for life all these years, and I'm so proud to call you and Tom my family. I love you, and I'll miss you very much. I have to do this, guys. This is for you, Vicki.
So I am never going to do another one of these because nothing like that can compare. Bring up whipped cream as a prop. Our next speaker, Carl Jordan. Would you like to come up there? There you go, sir.
Hi there, welcome. I'm so grateful to be here, be able to speak. Vicki. I've known Tom for a really, really long time. High school, I walked into class and there was a hip, young, wispy social studies teacher, Mr. T. And we bonded over one time where he was showing a movie and I brought popcorn for everyone. He liked that. Later on we worked together at a continuation high school and we bonded some more. And I've gone through a lot of stuff with Tom. And I think I remember the first time Tom talked about Vicki. And he was teaching swing dancing, as been mentioned, and he was talking about he had met this vivacious, wild woman, and he was at this it was an event, and he was upstairs somehow, and he was like kind of going after her, and she mentioned there was someone else downstairs, and if he wouldn't mind, maybe he could just slip out the window. And Tom didn't, but I knew that Tom had a keeper then. Yeah, because Tom had a wild side back then. And like a lot of you, I became friends of the family when they did elope, and I got to know Vicki really well. And I've spent a lot of weddings and family get-togethers, and even some Thanksgivings and some Christmases with the family. And I have a lot of stories of really good times with them all that I've been going through mostly every night right before bed and just thinking through the memories of being with them all and all the good times that we've had. I knew that Tom and Vicki were going to be a keeper when their family had a crisis, a teenage daughter who was a little crazy, a little wild. I won't mention any names. And Tom helped her in a deep and profound way. And they became a family. And it was something special. And they've had a lot of really good times together. First, they moved into a place in Corte Madera, and it was a little rental, and well, it was not so little, but I remember them fixing it up so much with all these flowers, and they were putting so much energy. Tom, it's a rental, but that's what they did together. They liked fixing things up. That was a theme that kept over and over. Every house they went to, they made it better and had fun. Tom had this house up in Mount Tam, and how many work parties did we have up there? Maybe with Uncle Bob, another adopted family member. Not really, but really. That's another theme. People that came into their lives became part of their family. I'm sure you all know that. And then when they moved to Petaluma, they had a 5-bedroom house, right? And Bertha, Tom's mom, comes to live with them. And if you can imagine the matriarchal energy in that house. fighting over whose pots and pans shall be most prominent. But, you know, Vicki, Bertha was family, and when Bertha passed, there was nobody as loving and caring as there ever has been on this planet as Vicki was with Bertha. And how kind she was to Tom's ex-wife, Lindsay. And Lindsay became they were part of the family. Everyone that she would meet become part of the family. And another theme, I remember when I first started going to the new house there, do you remember what it's like to ring the doorbell of the Evans household? You ring the doorbell and what happens? The dogs. And Dandy Dog. Oh my goodness, he was a pit bull of amazing energy, and he could jump this high and knock you over. And Vicki said, "No worries, it's okay." But yeah, it was pretty. But there was a lot of dogs. I can't remember how many dogs in total. At one time, maybe 6. Yeah, 6 dogs. Rescue pit bulls mostly. I mean, that's pretty amazing. And then one thing that hasn't been mentioned was Vicki and Tom's love of adventures. And so they took a trip to Costa Rica. And by God, now we're going to move to Costa Rica. And they made definite plans. They bought a plot. They started putting together plans to build a house. I was helping with that. And they sold their house. And much to the chagrin of their family and friends here, they were going to move to Costa Rica. Medical emergency, things changed, and all of a sudden they're living in a Winnebago, Britton Lexus driveway. Yeah. And then they're over their house over here where Tom's presently at, and that was their home, where most of you probably know them. And again, themes, fixing up the house, dogs, community, family. One of my favorite stories is we're fixing up the house early on. Come on, the colors, green with gold and purple paint trim. Very unique, Costa Rican colors and all the wear. And Vicki and I had to run to Home Depot to pick up something only she could pick out. And I remember I lost her in the store. Tom's probably hanging by one hand, waiting for us to show up. And where's Vicki? Where's Vicki? And she's in the pig aisle talking to an elderly African-American lady, and she's having this big conversation. Vicki, and I think this is an old fan. Well, no, it's somebody she just met. And she's inviting her to a picnic. And this person is all of a sudden her new best friend. And that's something that I just want to take with me. That she made everyone she met almost like her new best friend. And she didn't let go of that. And probably all of you in this house feel that. Even if you, to meet her was to feel like she was your best friend. And she honestly meant that. For me, one of my special times was when I had a cat that I had for like 22, 23 years, and she was finally dying. She got into a fight with a much bigger cat. She's a little Manx kitty, and I had to do all this nursing with this little feeble cat. And who was there most of the time helping me? Shoot the cat full of whatever she needed, antibiotics and nursing, trying to help the cat through. And that was Vicki. She was that kind of friend, that kind of person that would be with you and help you with so much stuff. She was someone I adored. And I bet you everyone in this room can say that. She was someone we adored. She was a lovely person. I'll miss her. Thank you very much.
So it's my job to move these things along, and part of what I really miss about Vicki is her laughter. That laugh. Next group of speakers, Lindsay Martin from Drumming. After that, Nicole Taylor, Robert McConnell, so you know which order you're in. Beautiful music. Lindsay.
Hello, I'm Lindsay, and I am Tom's first wife. Tom and I share a lot of memories. We were married for 10 years, and we grew up in the same town in Southern California and met in junior high school on the student council. And many of our memories involve Nicole, the next speaker, who is our daughter. So, okay, how do you pick a wife for your former husband? Vicki crashed into our lives, and she took a little getting used to. I wasn't sure I liked her at first. She was so cute and spunky. But she kept showing up at family occasions. Darn, she was so much fun. I started to like her a little, actually a lot. I was amazed at how open she was to accepting me as the ex-wife. But I discovered that I didn't really like her. I loved her. And we became sisters. We vowed that if either of us ever became missing, that we wouldn't put our picture on milk cartons like they did, because they'd never find us. So we instead were going to put our photos on wine bottles. We all know how connected Vicki was to caring for others, especially dogs in need. But now it was Vicki's turn. She fell in love. Guy, a little chihuahua, which was not her type, would scramble under the fence to play with their 4 dogs. But Guy quickly discovered that it wasn't the dogs he was coming to see. He wanted to be close to Vicki. He captured her heart. He protected her throughout her illness, and he never left her side. I was with Vicki when she died. I was stroking her arm and talking with her when Guy, who was asleep on her chest, his little ear perked up and cocked up toward her face like he heard something. And I looked around thinking maybe somebody had come in. Then it happened again a couple of times, and I said to Britt, "What do you think that's about?" And she looked over at Vicki, and Guy let out a growl. And Vicki took her last breath. Her face showed the strain of a very difficult night. And Britt and Tom and I were relieved that she was finally released from her long struggle. We knew what Vicki wanted us to do. We popped open a bottle of champagne. As we toasted Vicki and her new journey, her face relaxed and she was smiling. So, well, today is another one of our family occasions, and obviously she has a big family that she has created. So let's all celebrate Vicki style today. It's a party, and let's all enjoy the champagne.
Nicole, would you like to come up? And as she said, yes, there will be champagne. It wouldn't be a party. It certainly wouldn't be a party for Vicki if we didn't have champagne. So we'll have some housekeeping information for you later. Nicole.
Hello. I'm Nicole. I'm Vicki's other daughter. Technically, I'm her stepdaughter, but she didn't often call me that. Despite the fact that I was out of college when she and my dad married, she never focused on the distinction between the daughter she raised and the daughter she gained. In Vicki's mind, she just added a daughter. And I gained what I came to consider a bonus mom. I am so thankful that she and my dad got together. My dad had been single through much of my childhood. He was a unique guy. He was fun and always ready to explore a new adventure. We often lived in unusual or out-of-the-way places. He drove classic cars, kept clothing until it came back into style again, and was the only dad I knew who had his own costume collection. He loved dancing and social events, but at heart he was a family guy. He met his match with Vicki. People loved my dad, but it was Vicki who lit up the room. He had charisma, but she added the sparkle, and people just loved to be around them. Vicki and Britt took no time at all integrating into the unconventional arrangement of our family. Vicki treated my mom and stepdad like family, and my grandma like her own mother. She brought her unbridled energy and enthusiasm to everything she touched. But she had a practical side too, and quickly established herself as a go-to source for me for many things. She really knew a lot of stuff. You have a medical question, you call Vicki. You want to know how to keep a plant alive, sew a curtain, or feed a crowd, call Vicki. She could give you the textbook answer, but then she'd also ask to see a picture, or talk to the patient directly. Or heck, why don't you just bring the plant over and we'll repot it and fertilize it and send it back when it perks up a little. Whether it was planning our wedding or helping with our kids, Vicki jumped right into all the ways that she and my dad could help us out. They built us planter beds, brought us meals, stayed up all night with babies, and once even diapered our dog so he could visit without marking their furniture. Holidays with Vicki were something fun. They would start with my dad pulling out about 114 meticulously organized bins of wrapping and decorations. They would spend days putting up the house lights, decorating the yard, the kitchen, even the bathrooms. If it existed, it was meant to be decorated. The garland on the banister, the arrangement of about 100 candles on her burlwood coffee table, and of course the tree. She had an entire room dedicated to wrapping, stuffed full of every color and style of bow, paper, and tissue you could imagine. Her skills with tape and curling ribbon are legendary. And over the years, she made countless customized handmade Christmas stockings for 3 generations of relatives. I know there are a bunch of you right here that have these stockings up on your mantle every year. When they moved out of their larger home in Petaluma, we would often have Christmas dinner at our house. Vicki was always so gracious, letting me call the shots, but she never failed to bring her special brand of cheer no matter where the festivities were. It is not unusual for people to arrive for Christmas in a holiday sweater, jewelry, or the like, but Vicki would, without fail, outdo everyone. She'd arrive literally with bells on. You could hear her coming down the driveway, and then in she'd come with lighted antlers, a glowing Rudolph nose, and earrings that played Christmas music. She'd be juggling a pile of elaborately wrapped presents, half the holiday dinner, and all the serving platters and utensils she thought I might need. Then she'd hand out the elf and the reindeer hats, and everyone, even the most no-nonsense members of our family, would put one on, which brought her immense joy. That her enthusiasm was contagious is not news to anybody here today. One of the most obviously notable traits Vicki possessed was her incredible compassion for others. The stories of both dogs and humans she gave to are many, but for me, her care for others was perfectly illustrated in how she treated my grandmother. Bertha was a sweet, shy, modest, and reserved woman who found comfort in caring for her family and the consistency of the everyday routine. When it came time for her to move out of her own home, Vicki was the one to suggest, "Why don't we have Bertha move in with us?" I'm sure I wasn't the only one thinking, what could go wrong with an introverted, Depression-era octogenarian and a spontaneous, free-spirited 60s wild child moving in together? As predicted, it came with challenges, especially in the kitchen. Bertha's decades-long tradition of sitting down together at 5 p.m. with a pot roast, 3 side dishes, and dessert often clashed with Vicki's desire to nibble on some cheese and crackers and sip a glass of wine while watching a Giants game after a long day of work. But despite their glaring differences in lifestyle and personality, they shared a common love for cooking, gardening, and most of all, family. And over again, Vicki would roll her eyes, take a deep breath, and return to her compassionate, attentive way of loving and caring for my grandmother. Day in and day out for several years, they became closer than ever. In the end, it was Vicki who watched my grandma take her last breath, holding her hand while my dad dozed nearby. This typifies what Vicki was all about, her strength, bravery, and unwavering compassion for those around her. In the final weeks of her own life, she was far more concerned about who would take care of those she left behind than she was about herself. She touched so many lives. May her fun, fiery, loving spirit live on in us all.